Okay, guys, this week we have the privilege of having Commissioner Scott Ostrow of St. Mary's County. We actually really get real today, talking about some really good topics from what's going on with your taxes and, some Lexington Park revitalization conversation. So tune in and don't miss it. Okay, welcome everybody. Today we have Commissioner Scott Ostrow from St. Mary's County joining us. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us for a few minutes and
thank you for having me.
BSing about everything that's going on in St. Mary's County. So, Scott, you're a new commissioner in St. Mary's County, and how's the new job?
It's been a lot of fun. It's a heck of a learning curve. Everything is, your perception is always different than the reality, right? I mean, you get into something and you think it's going to be one way, and then you come in, and there's a lot of things that are what I thought it would be, and a lot of things that aren't. And I've had to learn, and I said that a lot all through my campaign. I said, I can tell you guys whatever you want, make great speeches.
Most
make
people
it sound
would just
wonderful.
do that, though. Most people just do that.
Right,
they make all these promises, and then they get in, they're like, oh, I can't do that? Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a problem. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
So I was very careful not to do that. I was very honest with people, and I said, look, until I get in and see what it's on that side, because there's things that we don't know, and I'm not going to sit here and blow sunshine and then get in office and be like, oh, well, nope, can't do it. So that's been both good and bad.
I think you said, like we talked a little bit earlier, and you kind of mentioned, like, as a commissioner, you get elected, and the next thing you know, you're like thrown into the fire, man. You're right in budget. Like the first day, you're like
we were sworn in on what was Monday, December 5th. December 6th was our first budget hearing.
That's crazy.
So I mean, it's quick. Now I'm a numbers guy, and my background is in finance, but still. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to digest very fast. You don't have 6 or 8 months to kind of come up to speed and learn the lay of the land and understand things. You're in it, and you've got to really figure it out quick.
I'm a little nerdy too, but have you ever taken the budget and like literally
looked at it?
I printed the budget out.
Yeah.
And I went with my highlighter. Like, I'm like, how? There's so much stuff in there, man.
Right.
There's so much.
So much that the county has to fund.
It really is.
And it adds up really fast.
And you don't realize all those little things until you get in. I mean, people think about the big things, obviously, fire and police and schools, but all those other things, and it's all important because that's what makes the county government
and
work.
Every single one of those things wants more money the following year.
That's what we said. I mean,
that's the juggle.
It's funny. I said when we first sit down here and we started talking, I'm like, please don't be offended, but how much is enough?
Right.
Like, it's never enough. Right. Like, if you
not in government,
it's not in government. You have somebody comes in and you said to them, how much would be your dream amount to have this year for your budget that would make everything perfect for you?
Yeah.
And if you were to fund that, the very next year they would want more money.
Right.
Well, that's the catch. How much is perfect for you this year?
Yeah.
Next year.
Well, it's interesting, too. I've always thought that, in any kind of, not beating up on the county per se, but just any kind of government at all whatsoever, like, it never goes backwards. So, like, for us in business, we have a tough year. We got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, for me, between last year and this year, my expenses are $10,000 less than what they were last year. That was a 20% adjustment.
Yeah, no, I know. I get it.
Imagine if the county had to make a 20% adjustment.
And it can happen with the economy where it is. I mean, you never know.
Exactly.
It could happen.
And but the worst part is that never happens. Instead, because you have the authority to raise taxes and do other things.
Take more money from the people that don't have it.
You just take more money from the people. In that scenario. So again, I'm not I'm not coming at you with that, but it's just an observation on me. Like, why can't we get to the point where we can run our government like a business?
That is one of my very big goals.
Yeah,
because
I'm sure it's a
I come from a business background. I mean, I've been a small business owner. I understand that. A lot of people in government don't understand what it's really like to. Okay, I got to pay my people. That means maybe I don't draw a check, but everybody else has to get paid.
Yeah.
And you get that.
Amen to that. There was about a 4-month period there for me where I was working to pay my employees. And I think people don't see that often. You know?
So instead of being all depressed about the numbers, tell us something good. What's a good experience or something good what are some of the good things you're seeing in county now?
There's a lot of good things happening in St. Mary's. We're going to see some great things happening I'm kind of getting away from calling it Lexington Park. It's the center of the county, as far as I'm concerned. Right? It's the center of the county. And so I think there's going to be a lot of good things happening in the center of our county. We've got a lot of great things that are on the horizon for that. We're looking at, there's going to be some new development going on. There's going to be...
I heard the funding, I think maybe for the YMCA is something, I don't know if it happened today or is happening. That money's looks like it's been earmarked.
Yes, that money's coming. So that's going to be a great thing. And I ran on that, and I still sit here today and tell you that that's an important thing, not only for Lex Park, but for St. Mary's County. You know, that's great for the folks on base who are coming in and want to have that, and definitely for those kids for after school. They've got someplace to go, something to do.
We got a lot of meat to cover, I feel like, but and I don't want to deviate us too much, but I do want to ask, what made you want to run for county commissioner?
Good question.
It's kind of a funny story. My wife and I moved here almost 9 years ago now. Actually, almost 10 years ago. So when we moved here, we loved the community, and we had been back here on travel so many times. We thought we didn't want to stay in California, so we're like, okay, look, where are we going to go? When my son went off to the Marine Corps, my daughter went off to college in Virginia, we're like, why not St. Mary's County? We love it, right? We're history buffs. We love the area. So we looked into it, and everything kind of happened real quick for us, and we were able to move out here, transfer jobs, and all that good stuff. And I've always been one who's very much into giving back to the community. You know, I'm a member of Rotary. I do a lot through our church, and things like that. I'm very involved in the community. You know, there's a lot of great community organizations out there, Christmas in April, all those great things, right? Why I decided to run for county commissioner was that I was sitting around, my wife and I were sitting around, I think we were one evening before dinner, we're having a cocktail and we're talking, and we were griping about, things around the county that we didn't like. I had all these empty buildings and traffic and this and that, and typical, right? And the next morning I got up and got in the car, and I was driving, and I was thinking about our conversation, and a little voice in my head said, well, why don't you do something about it, right? It's easy to gripe about it. Why don't you you get involved, right? Your kids are all grown and gone. You got time on your hands. So my original thought was, well, maybe I'll run for school board, right? Yeah. And I looked at that, and everybody.
So wait, you were complaining, and you decided to actually do something about it?
I was complaining and decided to do something about
it. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
So, and then,
in this day and age.
Yep. And then
I'm beginning to feel that's kind of what we just do, Mark.
Right.
We just do the complaining part.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
I'm kidding.
We both have long-standing histories of service as well.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So I looked at county commissioners, and I saw that Todd Morgan, my district, term limited, he was going out, and I thought, There's an opportunity, and I've talked to a few people, and of course everybody said, why? Yeah. And I was like, but because it's important. Let's do that. So thought about it for a few more days, and one day driving home from work, it was almost like, I don't know, I was on autopilot all of a sudden, and I work over in California, right? And all of a sudden I'm in the parking lot of the Board of Elections. And
nice.
I'm like, well, what am I? I'm like,
how did I
sort of drove here, right? So I said, well, I guess I'm going to do it. So I went in and registered, and came home, told people that I had done it, and started meeting folks. And the rest.
So what are your top 3 goals and passions?
As county commissioner?
Yes.
Definitely, we're going to revitalize Lexington Park. That is a big area. I love Lexington Park. I mean, I think we have great restaurants. I think there's a lot going on there. We've got, the 3-notch theater there. We've got all kinds of great things. I talked to a lot of people on the campaign trail, and even now where it used to be, that's where everybody went. Everybody went down to Lexington Park. You wanted to shop, you wanted to go to movies, you wanted to go out to dinner, you want to do all those things. Yeah. And I think, hey, still got great restaurants. There's still a great movie theater. I mean, safety is a concern for people, you know. But you got to understand. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm a kid who grew up in you know, in like South Central LA, right? You know,
Right.
so it's not.
Well, let's dig on that one a little bit. I don't want to lose sight of the
Yeah.
other items, but can we dig a little bit on that? Because,
Sure.
like, what does that mean? Like, what you know what I mean? Like, what does revitalization of Lexington Park mean to you? You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good question.
The pushback that I get from so mane people is, well, you know, Lexington Park gets everything, right? We've dumped millions and millions of dollars into Lexington Park over the years, and my comeback to that is, yes, that's good, but it almost doesn't count because infrastructure, okay, nobody can see it, right? It's under the ground, nobody can see it. So if you want people to have pride in where they live and really want to take ownership of that, okay, we need to do things that are more outwardly visible, right?
Aesthetically.
Right. You can do great things for your house, right? I mean, one of the least sexy things I ever did for my house was put on those leaf filters, right? Super expensive, but nobody notices it, right? I mean, right? So, but for people to see it, I mean, there's good things coming.
that's a good point.
With you know, there's some developers that are looking at, you know, developing different shopping centers and fixing those up a little bit, the ones that we have. So they're working on those things, and you know, so that's important. I think Lexington Park is a bit of a food desert. I would love to, you know, we're going to work on getting, you know, grocery stores. You know, another grocery
I was literally
store
chatting
in there,
about that today.
those kind of things. So people have pride in their community because I can see it, right? You know, I've talked to Chris Casalemas. You know, we're going to do some things in St. Mary's Square, maybe put a park in the middle there, fix up that parking lot. There's things like that we want to do, and I want to involve a lot of the, you know, the key players in Lexington Park community to get involved. Rather than just tell them this is going to happen, invite them in a little early, get ideas from them. Hey, you know, this is what's happening. What do you think? How about, you know, when we get people involved in doing those things with their community rather than just here, we're doing this.
It sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah, it does. I think, especially in the community involvement. I know lots of people that have, you know, again, there's a lot of people that sit back and they go, how bad and awful this is, and then they don't, you know, then they really, we need more people
don't do anything
involved.
about it. Yeah. The downfall with trying to get development to happen is that you can only have so much control over the property owners that are there already, and getting them to make improvements or getting them to lower the price of their property so it makes sense to develop, you know. So
there are good things coming that I really can't.
Got it.
Right. So I can't name names.
I'm privy to some of the things that you're alluding to, but yeah. So I think, and that'll help.
That'll help.
Once a couple dominoes start to fall, then you know, hopefully it'll bring in some more.
Get that YMCA in there, get that going.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great thing.
Definitely.
You know,
well, let's pivot to the elephant in the room. Kind of. Yeah. Let's talk about these excise taxes.
Ugh.
Why are you saying ugh? This is our world, right?
No, I think it's important. I mean, there's a lot of things that people. Well, there's really a few different taxes that we're dealing with right now. One is our property taxes and the constant yield, which we're hoping that the commissioners will.
Well, constant yield and property taxes are linked together.
They are,
I mean,
right.
Those go hand in hand.
Right. And then the excise tax is a totally different animal, if you will. But well, we can talk about the excise tax and the impact fee. Maybe also, you know what, we can educate because
people
this is
on what they are. Because you know, before I walked in here, even I didn't have a full understanding as to what the big picture was, and you know, you kind of mentioned to that earlier. So let's talk about that. You know, what is the excise tax? Is it an impact fee? That's probably the best question to start with, right?
In a lot of ways, yes, it is. Right. You know, the impact fee is going away. Right.
Well, I don't think our audience knows that.
Right. Well.
Right.
So the impact fee
is going away. What is the impact fee now? Well, before it sunsets.
There's a sliding scale.
Depends on the size of the property.
Size of the property. The impact fee currently takes care of roads, schools, parks, and recreation.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay. So those are the three big hitters for that. That's where that money is
Gets
earmarked for and designated to.
And that's it.
So as of July, the impact fee goes away.
Gone.
State legislation now states that you cannot charge it anymore, basically.
Right. And gives us permission to bring in an
excise tax. So the excise tax is essentially going to replace the impact fee.
Correct. It is not another. And a lot of people got scared because they're like, another tax?
Yeah.
No, one is going away and one is come into its place.
Now, I think what freaked everybody out is, I think you had like a third party do a study, right? Like a consultant.
Yes.
And they spit out some numbers of what the excise taxes should be, and those numbers were quite a bit higher, like five times higher what they were before.
Way up there.
Way higher.
So, can you speak to that?
If I had my druthers, what I would have liked to have seen in that presentation that they presented to us was where they had broken that up a little bit more in stages, because what they did was, which is fine, and they did explain that to us, that okay, this is what it is now, and then over here that big huge number that everybody went, what? That's the max that if we could push it to, right? That's the top dollar number.
That's their maximum recommendation.
Right. We are not. It is not.
This is as much as you could get away with, is what they're saying. But at the same time, you really, I mean, you wouldn't want to do that.
Right, exactly.
It would create a whole lot of uproar, which it already has.
I think it's stressed people out a little
and that
bit,
was the thing. It stressed people out. So, we are not, it is not set in stone that that's going to be the new number, right? Yeah. So.
I just wish, if that was this number here, and this is where we are, maybe we could have considered over here somewhere a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I know
and
better.
For those that are listening and not watching, that means south of where it was.
Right. Right. Thank you.
The excise fee or excise tax is good for the county in a lot of ways. It gives us more flexibility to be able to move monies.
So it doesn't have to just go to the 3.
Right. Well, we're gonna add public safety and police and all that. So that's important. So that it'll also cover that, which is good. And we can use it throughout the county rather than only in the area that it was designated for. Yeah. So
so we've established we're replacing the impact fee that's going away. Hopefully there won't be an actual increase, right?
Well, it's interesting
it'll be
because
one for the other. Hopefully,
when the proposal first came out, and it just occurred to me what it was. The comments were it was going to be revenue neutral, right? And that's what we revenue neutral, meaning it was going to be about the same amount of income,
it's gonna be a
wash, right? Yeah. And that's what everybody kind of put on their on their table, saying, okay, it's going to be revenue neutral, and then it comes in at 320% higher. They're going,
what's going on?
Reel it in, buddy.
But again, that number is okay. This is the max you can push it to. So,
but people are really up in arms. They're concerned about it.
Sure,
right?
They're concerned about it.
And we just need to and that's why. And the commissioners have a big job too, right? I mean,
So this sparks a whole other concept, and that is the juggle of the cost of adding a household to the community versus the cost of not adding the household to the community.
Right.
Which I think that nobody can ever answer that question.
They can't. You're right, Mark.
Some people truly believe that adding a household costs more money to the county than what it's worth. I disagree completely, and what they're not counting is okay, you add a household, they're paying taxes for their house. They're paying taxes on their income. Right, they're providing.
Shopping in our store.
They're shopping.
Hopefully, they're shopping.
They're eating,
they're right.
I mean, and on the multiply.
On the converse of that, they are using our roads. They are using our facilities. They are putting burdens on our police and school systems generally.
Kids are going
you know
to
what I mean?
school.
So, but the net is probably, like you and I agree.
Yeah.
The net is, we think it's still probably. Why would you have that number if it wasn't?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will point out, I believe this is correct, so give myself a little out there, but on the excise tax, even if we did go to the max, right? If we were we're going right to the max, we would still be lower than Charles, Calvert, Prince George, all
That's
of them.
true.
Right?
But
we would still be lower.
That doesn't.
And that number, our impact fee was, in my opinion, was really kind of artificially too low. Right. Because, and we all kind of got used to that, because the simple point of the matter was, I believe, when they were first going into the impact fee,
they were trying to stimulate growth.
And
there was also
the monies could only be
transfers
spent
from RECs.
Right.
Oh yeah, TNRs.
Right. That's the
true.
difference.
That's a big difference.
That's the difference. I want to make sure we put out there. Right.
The difference in trans and RECs between here and Calvert is 0.65%.
Right.
You multiply that across all the transactions. That's a pretty big chunk.
It's a big chunk of money.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure I was around when the impact fee was first when that first impact fee was discussed.
Right.
And the conversation clearly back then, obviously it's changed, was we're doing this transfers and recordation fee, but we're doing it in lieu of a significantly higher impact fee.
Right. And they lowered that right because that first number was actually really kind of close to where it is now.
Yeah.
So
that's where that came from, and now that
Well, I think it's a balancing act.
Yeah, because our county is growing, and we want that to happen.
Right.
But at the same time,
you got to be able to support it.
We've got aging schools, we've got things like that, all the things that attract people to the community. We have to be able to. I mean, Great Mills High needs a whole new roof. That's $56 million. I mean, where's that money coming from? Wow. We got to figure it out.
$56
million.
How much is a new school?
Right? 200 million.
Is it really?
200 and something million.
That's just the roof, though. That's
like
a quarter of the price.
Quarter of the price for the roof.
Well, you got to understand.
I'll tell you this.
It's not just a roof.
I'll do it for $54 million.
53 and a half.
Yeah. And putting in my
We're bidding now.
Where do we go to bid for that job?
I know.
But now multiply that across how many schools?
Other schools.
Other schools and all that. And those are the things we have to look at.
And these are huge. I mean, honestly, I've always said these are the challenges that I really, for those guys as county commissioners, it's mind-boggling.
It really is. And look, everybody's got special interests.
Yeah, they do.
Typically, when I come into this, I'm like, I don't want to see a higher impact fee, because I represent, people who build houses. I represent buyers who buy houses.
Hey, I don't want to see my taxes go up.
Right. Nobody does. What's the other side of that, though? The excise tax. So are you going to charge it in the same way that Charles charges it? Or or how Calvert charges it? So Calvert, you can pay the impact fee or excise tax in 3 phases. So it's one payment up front and then 2 payments on top of the tax bill in the following years. In Charles County, they do the excise tax and they spread it across the tax bill over 10 years. So essentially it pushes or in Calvert it pushes 2/3 of the cost back to the homeowner. And in Charles it pushes all of the cost back to the homeowner.
Which just increases prices.
And in reality, the homeowner's paying for it either way.
Right.
The builder's not just eating it and calling it a day. They're going to increase their pricing.
For it, but it's a little bit more manageable when it comes in the smaller chunks.
Right.
We are still, again, we're having the public hearing, and we are still exploring on how are we going to do this. Okay. I couldn't give you an answer to that because honestly, I don't know. So I am personally in favor of spreading it out over a few years. We need to. We can't just go, okay, here. Because that will adversely.
Especially if it's more.
Especially.
If it's the same, then I think business as usual.
Which
Continue to occur.
would be good. I think it's important to explain what constant yield is.
Oh yeah.
And is that okay? I mean, because I think honestly, I didn't know.
It should be easy enough.
Right. My rudimentary understanding.
Yeah.
Constant yield. I mean, simply put. Okay, constant yield is basically that the revenue from that we charged last year, assuming that due to appraisals and home prices,
property assessments, and that's what
assessments.
people don't understand is that their assessments are going up.
Right.
And it's causing their taxes to go up.
It's an adverse curve, right? So if assessments go up, constant yield
the rate goes
down.
Yeah.
So what we have to do at that point is, in order to keep your property taxes the same, we have to lower them to either below or equal to the constant yield, right? Yeah. So right now our constant yield is like 0.847 something, right? Yeah. Our constant yield is down right now. It is for 2023. It was like 0.8203, I think. Yeah. So we have to lower it in order to keep the same taxes.
The same.
If we leave it alone
right now,
if we left it where it was at, that would mean an additional.
So you guys have to vote to adjust the rate down.
Down.
Yeah.
Correct.
In order to
which we would love
lessen the definitely.
Well, it makes sense, honestly, because in my opinion, the assessments are generating $4 million worth of additional revenue right now.
Right.
And constant yield would say, okay, let's keep the way it is.
Right. Even especially in these times.
In this economy, we need to think about those things right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really tough.
At a time of inflation, if there's not a true need on behalf of the county, I mean that a little bit helps.
By lowering it to the 8.8203 to the constant yield, we're not getting any less. The
And you're not
county-wise,
getting any more.
we're not getting any less. We're not getting any more.
Right.
So that, I mean, I'm in favor.
Yeah,
of
and I
the-
venture to say that the assessments could very well go up again. And, you know,
They could.
They could. I mean, home prices are. I mean,
Yeah.
great, because hey, my home's worth a lot more when I when
Right.
I bought it 8 years ago.
What we said earlier is like, the only problem with that is that people don't realize that your assessment, that's not, most people, that's not a liquid asset, right? You
So-
don't have money sitting there because of
I don't
it.
even know if I can legally ask this question, but how do you intend to vote when it comes to
Oh,
that?
he already said what he's in support of.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
said it right here, right? So,
I said it right here.
yeah.
I am in support of the constant yield.
Yeah.
Which is
I will.
good.
That
We
is
haven't
good.
enacted the constant yield since
I think
2018.
We haven't done it in a few
The,
years.
It's been
the
a long
down
time.
the downfall is I feel like a lot of folks in your position see an opportunity to grab an extra $4 million.
Yeah, sure.
Going back to that budget conversation, they say, well, we
It
could
makes it easier.
I can't in
we
good
could
conscience.
do all these other
I
things.
can't in
but-
good conscience sit here and tell you that, because
Right.
everybody would be throwing the BS flag, because
Right.
everybody's seen my signs.
Right.
Lower taxes. So when am
Yeah.
I going to just change my mind?
No.
You know, there would have to be some real dire circumstances within
do
the
that.
county
I respect
for me to come out and say, you know what, I would be the first one to get out there. I know I said this, but here's the problem, folks.
Right.
Yeah,
So
good for you. I think that's
awesome.
Yeah. So
Well, we appreciate
Yeah.
that. And although I don't live in St. Mary's, I own a few properties over here, so I appreciate it as well. So
Well, look, we could go on and on and on and be
Yeah.
here all day long, but thank you so much for coming in here.
Appreciate you having
You're
me.
so much information.
we
and
got to get real about a few things.
we did, really,
right?
actually.
And I just want to extend the invite. Like, if there's ever anything that you
Yeah.
want to come air out that we could maybe
Just-
broadcast for you and just
Okay.
be a sounding board,
appreciate it.
we're here for you anytime.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Right, and I want to be here for the
Oh.
talking about beforehand.
Oh, the next one.
Oh, you want to come be a judge for the contest?
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about.
We got that.
not a
We're
bad
working on our
idea.
contest.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right, thank
But
you guys.
absolutely, no, I really appreciate your time.
All right,
Awesome.
and thank
Thanks
you,
so
and
much.
see you next week.